Good evening, brothers and sisters, and ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and welcome to another edition of Grand Boulevard Coalition. Grand Boulevard Coalition is a drug-free prevention organization that is focused on preventing underage drinking in the Grand Boulevard community. The Grand Boulevard community boundaries are south at 51st Street, north to 35th Street, west to the Dan Ryan, east to the lakefront. And as a part of the work that we do, in the Grand, we have several sector partners, and I'm pleased to have one person that represents our sector partnership is the business sector partnership. So we have the religious sector partnership, which is represented by many of the churches in our community. We have the community sector partnerships, which are made up of community CBOs, community-based organizations, and then we have our law enforcement partnerships, which is made up of the Chicago Police Department, mainly the Second District Police Commander, and then we have our civic partnerships, which is a representative of the local governments and elected officials in our community. And last but not least, we have our business partnerships. And today, I have a good friend, a gentleman that I've known for, I want to say probably 18 years. Sometimes I'm bad
20.
with my mouth. He says 20.
20.
All right. I want to tell my age. I don't even tell his. But anyhow, 20-year friendship of a good brother who's done some great work in the community. And he's a business owner, and he just happens to be my barber, and he is located in the Grand Boulevard community, Kenwood community. But Mr. Boulevard Davis, welcome to the show, man.
Glad to have me.
All right, so we can get right into it. This is a live show, 312-738-1060, 312-738-1060. So, Boulevard Davis, tell the people about yourself. Who is Boulevard Davis?
My whole name is Boati Rasan Davis.
Oh, excuse me. I forgot. I can't
That's right.
do this with this guy.
But everyone calls me Boat.
All right.
Nickname is Boat. Born and raised south side of Chicago. Work on the south side of Chicago. Live on the south side of Chicago. Love the south side of Chicago. That's a little bit about me.
Right.
Licensed barber and business owner.
Your family, man, you have two children, right? Yeah, high schooler, son.
I have a daughter
Yeah.
that's 16. I have a son that's 7.
All right. And so what we're talking about is business. Today, the discussion is going to be the roles of businesses and partnership in the community. So from your standpoint, let me just say this. How long have you been in business?
I've owned my own business 15 years.
15 years.
Yes.
All right. So in the 15 years that you've been a business owner, what do you feel is the responsibility of business owners, and what do you feel what do you feel? Number one, what do you feel is the responsibility of a business in the community, and do you believe that the business owes the community something, if you will?
Yes.
Okay.
Partially both.
All right.
Well, the purpose of a business is to make money,
Yeah.
without question. Self-preservation. But your product is supply and demand. If you have a good product and it profits your business, then you owe something, in my opinion, to the community. That the community is the one that's keeping your doors open.
All right.
So with that being said, if your business is successful in a certain community, it shouldn't be a problem for that business at some point to give back.
Yeah.
You know?
All right. And speaking of that, because, in many cases, we talk about, the crime, we talk about young people, and I will say, I will attest to this over the years, and I appreciate you and even some of the other barbers and barbershop owners or shop owners in general, but I would say more specifically you. You, over the 20 years that I've known you, the 15 years that I've been in and out of your establishment, you've had some very interesting young people to come through your doors. Now, listen, hey, some of them have turned out to be great success. Then some, I don't know. But the fact remains that the barbershop, and I want people to understand that, the barbershop for me has not ever been a place where I just go and get a haircut. It has almost been a place for a release to go and talk about world issues. It's been a release from stress all day long. I mean, you have a bandit of different characters and people with different personalities from all walks of life.
This is true.
Yeah, so and so I've enjoyed the times, coming in and sitting in the shop. But I will say this: the young people that I've seen grow and mature over the years into adults, and I say again, some have matured and went on to be very successful, and then some not so much. I will never forget the young kid, Ernest, who lost his life. In my last engagement with Ernest before he was murdered, we were playing.
I cut his hair.
Yeah.
I cut his hair right before. Before that happened. That's right.
Right, and we were outside playing around, horse playing. But my point is, and so the role of the barbershop, how do you see yourself? See, I don't, it's like when they say, well, teachers are just educators. I almost look at it in a multitasking way. That is not just cutting hair to me.
That's true.
So how do you see yourself and your business as it relates to the community and the block that you on and then again your commitment beyond your shop but to young people?
Well, I mean, from my experience over 20 years being a barber, I mean, you deal with the public the majority of the day, majority of the week. And a lot of these young boys who come in, well, they come in, they don't have daddies at home. A lot of single mothers bring their sons to the barbershop. Apparently, whatever the case may be, the father's not in their lives. But yet and still, we provide a service, cutting their hair. But also, sometimes they give us a little piece of their lives by just communicating. Some people vent, some people smile, some people cry. But yet and still, it's a country club for a release from the realities and the stresses of everyday life. People can come to the barbershop and unwind. People can come to the barbershop and be serious. But from my experience, personally, I've helped a lot of young boys. Some became successful, some didn't. But, it's like a bag of apples. Every apple in that bag's not going to be right.
Yeah, no, I got you. I understand.
You got to take the good with the bad. And hopefully from them knowing me personally and professionally, I did more good than I did bad in helping the young boys who come through my shop.
Well, you had some young girls too who turned, and I will say this to you. I don't want to say it's unfortunate, but I would just say this. I've noticed that the young women who you've had hang around the shop and run errands and clean up, they've turned out to be a little bit more successful than the young men, and I could never understand what was so different. Even they were treated the same, and almost come from the same background, but the young women seem to have accomplished more with their lives than the young men. It's just been very much more difficult trying to reach some of those young guys. We've set young men who've come through those doors that have been murdered. Some have committed murder. Some have been, But at the end of the day, some. Yeah, that's what I say. Some. Right, then you got some that are still, that are okay, that are doing well, and this is not an indictment on all of them. So I will say this: there have been some that I've watched that are actually doing well. I would just say that some of the young women just happen to be doing a little bit better. But it all ties back into the fact of the level of responsibility from you as an owner and a man in the community and trying to impart into the lives of those young people. And as we talk about, community involvement in business relationships, it just speaks volumes to your level of commitment and the folks that you run with being committed to the community above and beyond the call of duty. That's all I'm saying, right?
This is true.
And giving back. And speaking of giving back, I want to show the, we're going to go to the PC, I'm sorry. In giving back on Monday, Labor Day, we're doing back to school free haircuts in the Grand Boulevard community. Mr. Davis here Boulevard Rasan Davis, if you will, has been doing this event with me for 17 years, professionally 15 years, at those shops that are located on there on Monday between the hours of 9 and noon, ages 6 to 16 years old. Will be able to come and get a free haircut, some a free hairdo, backpacks, and school supplies while the supplies last. It's a very tiring some event, but I appreciate the gentleman who's sitting in this chair today and all of the barbers and beauticians who participate in this event. Number one is our way of trying to give back to the community and to make sure that every child gets back to school on time in that community without any hang-ups about hygiene and not having school supplies. So I'm grateful to Boulevard for doing this, and we actually started this. I never thought that I would get him to come into Robert Taylor and cut hair.
Wow.
On milk crates.
Really?
Well,
Really?
asking, I just didn't think,
You thought I was going to say no?
Well, hey, many did.
I
Well, as you do know that, right?
Yeah, you told me.
Because you was the only one that showed up.
Yeah. Well, you had two other people, but
Okay.
I was one of the few that you asked, and I said, yeah.
Okay, so 17 years ago, we were in 4946 on the first floor in Robert Taylor, starting this whole in this South State, starting this whole thing. And I met the gentleman at Kane's Barber College, which is no longer here anymore, or no longer in business, should I say. I met him at the barber school, we kind of became friends ever since then. And so I appreciate him and all the other barbers. And again, this is a live show, 312-738-1060. 312-738-1060. So, boy, tell us a little bit about some of the other things that you down the line. Now, I understand there's some, I don't know if we can share this or not, there's some maybe exciting news that you're going to be doing something with barbershop talks and all that stuff. Which I'm gonna talk about some other things that we've done in barbershops, but yeah, go ahead.
Well, fortunately, which benefits me and my business, my shop was chosen one out of 20 shops from the south and west sides of Chicago to participate in a documentary that Russell Simmons is doing, a film documentary on Shop Talk. That's the name of the documentary we called Shop Talk. And the premise of it is to go into the barbershops, talk to the people that live day to day in the city. He don't want to talk to politicians. They don't want to talk to people that's behind. He want to talk to everyday people to find out about the educational system in Chicago, the propaganda behind the crime in Chicago, this and that and so forth. So he wants a real perspective of shop talk, how the everyday people really talk about life where they live, and he wants to do it on Chicago, and the movie will be called Shop Talk.
And it's a documentary.
It's a documentary.
So this is not buffoonery or
No, it's a documentary.
It's a documentary. So you're gonna what you get is real people, real conversations, and perhaps even some real solutions. Because I contend, as I sit in the shop, you take. For me, a person who works for non-for-profits and does, political consulting, in many cases, I take the temperature of the community by going in and out of barbershops. I try to go in and out of, I have a favorite one with this gentleman who cuts my hair on the south side of Chicago, up on 47th Street. But I'm generally in and out of a lot of different shops, and it's good to have a conversation. So, I've distributed condoms. I think I dropped 2 boxes off to him, big boxes, so you distribute condoms there. In some cases, you have conversations about HIV and AIDS. It would be a good place, the barbershop, for men to talk about men's health and prostates. My friend here started a new diet. As you can see, mine has not worked out well for me too much. He started a new diet program, and he's been on this alkaline diet kick, and so which is very intriguing. So I've taken his advice, and I've seriously. So I've watched him change the diet, change some foods, and I used to eat the whole tomatoes, and now I go to these real small tomatoes because I have acid reflux. I have acid reflux, and so since changing the tomatoes I eat, I have less of I guess the acidic backup that comes from eating a lot of the larger tomatoes because they're So my only point is from the point of the point that I'm making here to you today is that something that I've learned in the shop, listening to the gentleman. And watching his progress and change, he's lost some weight.
Almost
He lost
20 pounds.
Yeah, he lost it, and I found it. And so, it is. So you learn so much. You can learn so much from above just getting a haircut. So when we talk about businesses and businesses being responsible, certainly in this great partnership of doing this work, we've had several that we partner with. But I think for me, the most important businesses is the ones who physically, in my opinion, give back.
That's
right?
true.
That give back. So how do you see, Boulevard, businesses really making an impact on young people as we live here in Chicago with this violent epidemic that we're facing? How do you see businesses playing a role in solving that? Or do you see them having a role?
I mean, it depends. I don't know. It depends on what type of business it is. I don't see a gas station having a solution to solving a violence issue in the community. But, I mean, certain types of businesses that get interpersonal with the community that supports the business, it's a little different. I mean, with me personally, I talk to a lot of the youth that come in from my experience.
Yeah.
From me growing up on the South Side, me dodging jail, me dodging bullets, me dodging everyday crime, gangs, or whatever the case may be, to be here at 45 years old, still from the South Side of Chicago, I mean, I would hope some of them have something to listen to from me other than me just cutting their hair. And I know I've touched a few of them because a lot of them, even if they went left and came back, they would always come back and tell me I helped them out some way just by talking to them. Not just cutting their hair, just by talking to them. So it depends on what type of business it is, and it depends on what types of people are in the business or what type of owners it is, if they really actually care about the people in the community or they just blood-sucking it. Because, you got bloodsuckers and they could be of any kind of race.
Right.
But if it's people who generally care, but I generally care because my business happens to be in the community that I grew up. So I genuinely care for the youth because I used to be one of them.
Right. And I think that's very important. I think that's very important. I think that is a very important attribute. You talked about gas stations. Well, they can start with employment. So that was going to be my next issue. And so how much do you contribute the violence to the lack of employment? And that goes to, really, how much do you contribute to
A lot.
Okay.
A lack of employment, a lack of extracurricular activity for the youth, lack of resources in the communities. The children have too much energy. They need an outlet. If they don't have an outlet, they're going to find something to do, and most times it's not positive. So, I mean, the community could be built up better with the people that lives in the community if people were more selfless. Subconsciously, a lot of businesses and people, they have a subconscious selfish mentality. Right. And I'm not saying that to be totally negative. What I'm saying is everybody has a bit of selfishness to them. It takes a sacrifice to give to someone else.
Yeah.
It takes a sacrifice to give to someone else and not keep it for yourself.
Right.
So, I mean, it's upon the individual and it's upon the business owners if they actually care. If they actually care, then they'll give a part of themselves to help the community. And sometimes the children, they pay attention.
Yeah. I think they pay attention more than we would like to believe that they do. So do you think? So I guess one question I had for you, and you can answer it. I've kind of just randomly asked these people, right? Ask people this question because you hear from folks, my parents' age that syrup is nothing new. They were drinking syrup and popping pills back in their day, right? Do you think that this new age level of drugs, like the Molly, the hydroponic marijuana, the lean. Do you think that the drugs today that are, or the generation under us are indulging in, do you think it has a more adverse effect on them than it did on our parents' generation?
Well, first of all,
Yeah.
from my experience, like I said, I deal with these youth every day on a daily basis.
Yeah.
The type of drugs that they use now, they think they're not drug addicts.
Oh, okay.
They think they're not drug addicts.
Okay.
The mollies and the syrup with the pop, they think it's cool because they see what's portrayed on television, the rappers and stuff doing it.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, our parents' generation, the choice of drugs was cocaine and heroin. Crack came a part of our generation.
Correct.
This generation, they smoke kush, they drink lean, they do pop mollies, and they're just repeating the cycle of drugs. It's just different drugs. That's all.
But my point is, do you think the effect is worse on them than it was on our parents? I tend to say yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
I guess.
All
I
right.
mean, to a certain extent.
All right.
Extent.
Yeah. Okay.